Howdy, pals. Kind of just gonna jump right on in. Don't have much to say. Don't have much to do. No announcements. Nothing like that. Um, more or less. I've been like debating most of the morning whether or not I was going to stream today, and if I was going to, was I going to stream more Alone in the Dark, which is what we've settled on. Or if I was going to stream Dragon's Dogma, uh, because I was playing that most of this morning, played that most of yesterday evening. We'll probably continue to play it after stream. I'm trying to like pace myself with it, but I am enjoying it greatly. I got it for myself as an early birthday gift, and I am glad I did, because this is like the first weekend in like a month that I've not had to like work over the weekend to make up hours, and it's so nice. So I got like all of like the house chores and shit that I needed to do that I usually do on the weekends done during the week, on like Thursday and Friday, so that I could just play video games all weekend, because I'm an adult. But yeah, like I said, we're not gonna dick around too much. I just kind of want to like hop on into it, because I am really enjoying this game, and I like want to know what's going on. Yeah. But also got Dragon's Dogma 2 brain rot, so what can you do? Ooh boy. There was an update a couple of days ago, which I was excited to see. But we'll see if that has like made everything functional, or if it's made it worse. All right, we've got the stairwell key, and we've also got France, which I can use in the globe in that one hallway upstairs. Before I do that, I just want to make sure none of these had changed. And it doesn't look like it did. Just limit that. Okay. Yes. I have realized that Capcom as a whole has like spoiled me as far as like ooh boy, as far as graphic settings are concerned, because it lets you know like how much what every option does and how much like processing power it takes. And I love that. I genuinely love that. Because it's done all that in, you know, like the recent Resident Evil games. But they also had it in Dragon's Dogma. Granted, those are like the only Capcom games that I've played over the last few years. But it's still really nice. Thank you, RE Engine. I appreciate you. Oh boy, there's a lot of stuttering happening. Okay, hold on. How do we fix this? Go back to unlimited, and then we go down to low, maybe. And see if that makes it better. It's a good-looking game, but I'm not particularly here for how it looks. It is very jarring coming from Dragon's Dogma to this, though. What are these horrible noises? Where are we trying to go? What are...
Debris was somehow mixed.
Shh. I don't need you to read this to me. We have to break through the barriers of self-deceit. So look for the treasure in Grace's drawing. Right, we got that, like, treasure map. Investigate Cassandra's room. Look for Jeremy's x-ray plates in the infirmary. That's what we were trying to do last time, and I couldn't figure out where to go because I didn't look. Okay, Cassandra's room, sitting room, Grace's room. Let's go there? Is that this one.
Detective Conby. Good to see you again. Solved your case yet?
I'm trying. Hey, Grace, you okay?
Oh, she is just peachy, Detective. Are you looking forward to the Feast of St. John, Grace?
I can't wait.
Kids, ain't they great?
What exactly are you planning for tonight?
Oh, not much. We eat, we drink, we pay tribute to the wishing tree in the conservatory. The usual.
Then why all the excitement?
There is just something about tonight. Something's different. I think we all feel it. Besides, we got ourselves some new words for the prayer thanks to your buddy Jeremy.
She'll come and turn the world inside out, and things will begin again.
That sounds strangely threatening.
You should come.
Oh, God damn it, Grace. Stay put for once.
Who keeps giving this man booze? Also, give me that key.
I'll
First
better
floor
hold
Hulky.
on to these. Wouldn't want him to get lost.
Okay. Let's put France where it
There's something
belongs.
missing.
There's not. There's nothing missing. We've put it back, buddy. Oh, is that, is that all that's in there? So it's one of the collectibles? Said that there was something in Grace's room, right? This is drawings. I am missing a drawing. Is there anything more that I could do with this? I can just pick it up. I thought I did last time. Okay, whatever. McCarthy's pirate treasure.
This is where McCarthy has hidden my favorite young. It's very important.
Where is that, though? I'm sure it's fine. Okay, I guess we'll go into Cassandra's room. Since she's right here. Is that a thing I can pick up? No, it's a deck of cards. Unimportant. Don't need. Moving on. Cassandra's last page.
Jeremy knew that the only one who could help him now was the guest in room number 3. The room seemed to have been empty for so long. But that wasn't allowed to be true. The story needed to be different. To include something from the outside, he would bring the guest back to room 3 and show them what was in that safe. 913. But those were not the right numbers. That was the combination for the safe in the clerk's office.
Okay. Slaughter Gulch! Got a manuscript. Is that everything that's in here? Guess I could check the map. You wish that there was a hotkey for the map. Okay, that is everything that's in here. There's still something in Jeremy's room and Batiste's room? I thought I opened Jeremy's, what was it? The trunk that was in there? Or did I just think I had done that? Oh, game, please. I know you're having a hard time, but come on. We're just gonna skim everything. So I've missed something. Oh, what's this? It's Detective
Detective
Carnby.
Comby, I'm terribly sorry that my niece has pulled you into this mess. Please, with all my blessings, take her away from this cursed place. I
Wasted.
have destroyed that eater of worlds, and locked it away in the attic and retreated to a place of hiding.
Royals.
Tell Emily I'm safe. Tell her all the lies you can think of to make her listen. Take her back to New Orleans. Sincerely, Jeremy.
I don't think anything I can say will fix this. Or make her not want to be here. Because I don't think she trusts me, really. Considering... Okay, so that's everything in here. What's in Batiste's room, then? The vibe of the mansion has completely changed. There's my light. Trust me.
Brother, I need you to trust me. This is the most important moment in our family's history. I know you have doubts and that the terrible Mama Loa told you lies. I would never betray you. I promise. Lie.
Oh, are Lottie and Batiste brother and sister? Why did I think they were married? Despite having separate rooms. Oh well, it's fine. Sorry, y'all. Okay. I need a painting for, or drawing for her. Do we have McCarthy's room? Yeah, and I can get in there now. Okay. Cool. We can cut through here, right? Since we have the key for the lower level. It's not like we're saving like a ton of time or anything, but it helps. Stars. Thank you for the contribution to the gummy hunt. Sorry, I heard like heavy breathing past the door. Oh, I see. I will wait to talk to you then, once Ad is gone. Oh, Ad is gone. Hi, Stars! Thank you for the contribution. Welcome in. How are you doing? Where am I? Go there. So, like, there. But I can't go there. I can't use the key? It's fine. But yeah, I hope you're doing well this fine Saturday. Thanks! It's finally... it's finally doing all the things that I want it to do post-cut. You know how, like... how when you, like, first cut your hair, and it doesn't do any of the cool things that you wanted it to do because it's not used to being cut like that? My hair has finally gotten used to being cut like this now, so it gets to do all the really neat things, and I'm liking it. Thanks for noticing. But I'm glad you're doing good. We love to hear it. Why was Carnby so weird about opening that door? We are just going to be checking our map every like 10 seconds. Yeah, your hair has to grow into not growing. Yeah, exactly. It needs to just get used to it. And I can't blame it for that, especially considering I like had really long hair for a bit there. And then chopped it off fairly short in the back. It's pretty dang short in the back. Just had to get used to it again. Had to get used to not having all that weight there. Okay. I can't get anywhere in this fucking mansion anymore because all of the doors are locked. Oh, wait. Can I keep hearing this, like, horrible heavy breathing? First floor hall key. Oh, no.
No.
What is he doing? Is he just being a weirdo? Oh, he's vanished. It's fun to have short hair and it looks so cool. I would choose this hairstyle in character creation. Yikes. That's all I want in life. I just want to have anime video game hair. This means the
Surprisingly
world
neat.
to me.
Maybe I've been selling that old barfly short.
But it is really fun to have short hair. I missed it. I'm glad I, like, took the time to, like, try having long hair just because, like, I hadn't. I think that was, like, the longest my hair has ever been. Ever.
Looks like the puffy has something hidden inside.
And so, like, it was cool to try it out just to realize that, yeah, I don't
Sometimes
need that.
I think this place makes me worse. That Deseto might be my grave. Coffin made
Excuse
of
me.
ostentatious architecture.
Nope,
A Taj
down here
Mahal
for
for the
a
drunken
second.
depressed. There's something about Deseto. Something about
You want your hair to have life and go in directions. That is the dream, isn't it?
In fact, we are here to be forgotten.
Just want our hair to do cool things and, like, know what it's doing. You know? Okay. McCarthy's room. Can't do anything without a screwdriver. I think that's what I need to open that. Nothing in Ruth's room. Oh, wait, I haven't been into these rooms. Why is her room like this? Do we have anything that I can have in here? Bullets? Excuse me, bullet? Singular bullet? Okay, Ruth's room is cleared. And on to... I don't have the key for that room. What is in here?
I can't take this much more. This has to end.
Carnby, I think you're okay, buddy. Like, I know it's been a rough night, but, like... You're okay, pal. What's in here? Anything? No. We got a jingling shaker. My shaker. It goes jingle, jangle, jingle. Is there anything else I can steal in here? Is this... Hold on, is this the mezzanine? It's the grand parlor. Okay. Mezzanine is upstairs. Okay. I would love to make a Molotov cocktail. TBH. We have found, like, bottles with like, rags sticking out of the top. But when you throw them, you can't set them on fire. And I think that's a bit of an oversight, if you ask me. I have to sneeze. Excuse me. Okay, before we go anywhere else, there's something in Lottie's room in the wash closet, but I can't get over there. Can I? Yeah, it is entirely blocked off to me right now. Well, no, it is. It is. Unless I go through the piazza and then down into the kitchen garden? No, that's all locked as well. There is something in the conservatory, though. The downstairs conservatory? Huh? Hold on. Before we press on. very much just like wanna wander around and see all the things. So pardon me while I go wander and look at stuff. Here's the piazza. It makes me incredibly nervous when the camera zooms in like that. I don't like it. Wandering and pondering. Looking and... Just trying to think of something that rhymed with looking, and I couldn't come up with anything. It's fine. That plant is going buck wild. Alright, before we wander away, we can't open that. Is this? I do want to check. My map is of no use here. Okay. But looking it and looking at shit. That's a good one. It's better than anything I could have come up with. Excuse me?
What is that?
It's whispering. Why is the tree talking to me? I don't know that I trust Tree. Tree's a little off-putting right now, if we're being honest. Tree's being a little pushy. That's what I'm saying. It's a sus tree, also. Our secrets.
Mrs. Thompson, I understand the last week has been busy. Under these circumstances, I find it important to remind you that Rossetto's concerns are not a public matter, nor is it something that should upset you. Please continue your excellent work, and don't spend a thought on the death of Perosi, or, more importantly, the suicide of Cassandra Beauregard. They should mean nothing to you or the staff. I rely on your loyalty, and trust that your close kinship with the Tabois siblings will keep Rossetto's secrets hidden. Dr. Gray.
Jeez. Okay, so confirmed Cassandra's dead. And Perosi is dead? I know we've, like, found some stuff of Perosi, but I couldn't tell you who he is. Also, sorry, my hands were very dry and I needed some lotion because it was starting to, like, hurt. We're fine now. Is that all that was in here? Yes. Okay. If my map can't help me here, where is this? Why did it tell me my map couldn't help me? Whatever, it's fine. Is that all that's in here? I'm sorry, we are checking the map constantly. And I guess I can get to Lottie's room from here. I mean, I appreciate that. Why must I go in ridiculous circles, though? This place is confounding enough as is.
We must have faith that Jeremy's pact with the Dark Man is a bluff. If we are lucky, our visitors will find him and prove it's all nonsense before night falls. What is true is our attempt to call on her. Too many things have happened for this evening to be in vain. Think of Jack and Cassandra, even Perosi, whose circumstances I can't understand. Grace is a goat without horns. She knows it.
Right?
Play the role.
Grace is our goat.
You must
Grace
talk
is
to
the
your brother,
goat!
Batiste. I worry that he will fail us.
Parentheses.
Mrs.
Without
Stokes.
horns. I don't think that's a good thing. I don't think that Grace should be the goat. Just from what I've gathered, it doesn't sound like the lady that they're trying to summon is a nice lady, and in fact, might be trying to do bad things? I could be wrong. That's always a possibility. But consider... maybe we don't summon the lady that sounds like she's gonna destroy the world. Broken spectacles. Okay, is there anything else? No. And this door is locked, isn't it? This one up here. That one's blocked. This we know.
We can't let her ruin our plans.
I heard him and
I don't want to run into the orderlies right now. Not sure I can trust them.
I don't worry about the detective. He knows his place.
Quiet.
I like that the only time they gave us subtitles for that is when the lady said quiet. Okay. I didn't want that.
Dr. Gray might be in there. Perfect time to snoop around his office then.
Okay, but what if I wanted to go into that room? Consider. I know it's blocked. I didn't even try to touch it. Oh my goodness. It's fine. Let's go back to the piazza. Via the conservatory. And I guess we'll like start heading downstairs, huh? Because I don't have any of the items that I need to finish anything, really. Wait, I can go into the clerk's office. I have the code. What was it? 9931? 913, excuse me. So we can get the thing from the clerk's office now. I don't want to say that we're like at endgame, but we might be. It does kind of feel like everything's sort of coming to a head. And so I just want to make sure that I'm like, again, I'm not necessarily going for a 100% run. Not on my first try. But it is nice to like try and get as much as we can. 913. 913. Wait. Huh? But it's open. But it's still marked as not being complete, and there's still something in here that I need? Hot? I'm sure it's fine. Anything else that I needed in here? Let's... Marker, are you broken? Is map broke? I think the map might be broke. Okay, well, that's unfortunate. But all that's left then is to go into the stairwell. Understood. How do I get there? Oh god, I'm so turned around. Whoa!
This can't be real.
Honest, this house is a fucking nightmare! It's true, though. That's it, Garnby. Get on the fridge. I do like that some of those things happen. And not necessarily, like... I mean, they're scripted, obviously, but I think it's just, like, from wandering around for too long. It's just neat, I think. Okay. We need to go through here. And then we need to go through here. Hi, Devo. Little man is honking. Stairwell key. And just for good measure. Hey, all done. Little man, you gotta stop yelling. It's acting like I've not done anything with him at all today, which is incorrect. I spent most of the morning playing video games, but I spent a good portion of wake up time just holding him and snuggling him and telling him he's a good little guy. Stars, no, don't encourage this behavior. Oh.
I need the key.
I'm sure everything's fine here, actually. My eyeball is itchy. Not my actual eyeball, but like the corner of my eye, and it's I can't make it stop.
Radiography. Patient Jeremy Hartwood. Date June 14, 1930. Plates. Jeremy's skull proved difficult to capture properly. Partial radiographs worked
Don't want to make
best.
you all look at me while
A
I'm
complete picture of the brain can be assembled
rubbing my
by
eyeball.
piecing 3 plates together.
Okay.
Observations. Even when looking at an assembled version, a shadow covers significant parts of Jeremy's brain. Possible tumor, but more likely that the equipment is failing. Jeremy reacted strongly to the pictures and claimed to see a giant clay worm eating and displacing his memories.
Not the clay worm.
Notes. While this exercise has left me nowhere closer to an answer, I feel confident that a Burkhart lobotomy should sever all necessary parts.
Yo, Dr. Gray sucks. Like, a lot.
Hypothetical psychosurgery based on the ideas by Burkhart and the St. Petersburg research could end up saving Jeremy's mind. Severing the connections around the frontal lobe would certainly solve most mental afflictions.
Get that cleanup done.
The procedure
Thank
would
you
be
for the alert,
brutal in
stars.
performance, as well as in efficiency. An ice pick pushed through the edge of the eye and into the skull would untether the nerves like Alexander cutting the Gordian knot. As this would likely leave Jeremy in a very different condition, all other paths should first be explored. The medical instrument I would need for this lobotomy is missing, and I should have Waits order a new one.
I don't know what Devo's problem is right now, but he is causing issues. Can you find a place to lay down, sir? Or go play with your toys. They're all set out now. Yeah. I don't have a fuse. I have a fuse. Devo, stop. I need another one. Okay, hold on. Out. Nope, get out. If you're just gonna cry, then you're gonna leave. Ugh. Now he's just gonna cry even more. Well, he can do that out there. I'll let him back in a couple of minutes. I just need him to stop. He's been such a menace over the last, like, few days. Last week or so. I mean, honestly, he's probably as upset as I am about everything kind of being in flux here at the moment. But I can't do anything. Jeremy is popping off. Hey, bud, you okay? I have 2.
I need the key.
I know you need a key, bud. I also need one more plate and one more fuse. But there are no other fuses. Unless I'm blind? Oh, there's a key. Surgery room key. Okay. Well, which room's the surgery room? Is it you? I'm glad that you no longer have empanada sauce on you. Welcome back. I'm trying to find the surgery room. With this one? I have to sneeze. Again. Yeah. Well, we'll just take that fuse then. Jeremy's just seeing some
Don't mind if I do.
some cosmic horrors. Some outer gods have come to him. I'm sure he'll be fine. Probably. Yeah. Yeah, he'll be fine. It's not gonna be fine. He's just experiencing it. Yeah, exactly. It's just, it's building character.
That's better.
Okay, is that enough? That's upside down. That's upside down. That's right side up. I don't understand. Like, I get what they want me to do. I just don't know how they want me to do it. You know? I think this one for sure goes here. Because it's got Jeremy's name on it. I can rotate them. Okay. I am a fool. I'm gonna eat Devo. Cut it out. Here, you want this? Come here. Devo. He just wanted me to throw his toy for him. Not Steve-O. It's Devo. Also, yeah, they rotate. How could I have ever missed that? It's a little rude, I think, when they can allow me to rotate things like this. Like this? Is this right? That one's not right. That one? No. That doesn't seem big enough. But that does kind of line up pretty alright. The rotate buttons are also just very strange. In general. Oh, okay, there we go. Oh! Hey, I've got Jeremy's Darkness? Yeah, that was too many walnut bits. That was... If it was just the 3, if they'd just given me the 3 bits, it would have been fine. But they had to give me 5. Honestly, even if they had just done 4, it would have been a little better. Whatever. Am I allowed to leave now? I mean, it's fine. We got the darkness. Oh god. It's bad down here. Do you want me to go fast?
Why does this keep happening? What am I supposed to do?
Go fast? You must go fast, Carnby? Right. It helps to remember all of the buttons. But, you know. Who needs buttons? I need a new melee weapon. Oh, fuck. Carnby, please. Carnby, please. Alright, good job, buddy. Are we in the attic again?
We're back here.
Okay.
Perfect time to have a look around this place.
No ore for Kayshurrr. Kayshurrr. You want to look at that? No. No, he does not. You're giving me the interact option, and I'm hitting the interact button. Oh god, there were gummies there for a second. I saw those orbs. I got a tessellated shard. Don't worry about it. I am pretty sure that my melee weapon is, like, just about ready to give up the ghost. If I could get a new one, that would be lovely. Okay. What? No, I see. I understand. It worm. Okay, well, I don't want to do that just yet. The 614? No, because those both have... We'll figure it out. I do want to finish looting, though. It was booze? You know, our health items? Alcohol? Okay, do you want to look at this noose yet, or what? Nah. Okay. Really digging that bird statue. Powerful statue. Let's try 614 first. This way. No. Okay, then 164? One, 4. Oh, 641. Okay, now you want me to go look at the news. What's happening? Oh god. Oh, game. Oh, game. I don't know how to fix it. It just does this sometimes. I honestly, I just think it's like really poorly optimized at points where it starts like spawning in too many things. Which is like constantly, like when you're changing scenes, it tends to like freak out. And it's like, hey, I need you to not do that because you do that a lot. And then my game becomes really horrible and stuttery. And I would like for my game to not be stuttery and horrible. You want me to go this way? Oh, you want me to jump down? Okay.
No, is this... This is where Jeremy's hiding, right?
Hello? Is anyone there?
Hi, Jeremy.
Jeremy?
I need help!
Wait. Can you hear me?
I'm stuck in the mud and the fire is taking
Jeremy.
me.
And this is why we don't live in the swamp.
The motor is dead. I can't do anything more.
Hang on, Jeremy. I'll figure something out. I'll get the boat running.
I don't think this boat's gonna run. Call me what you will. You know, pessimistic, ultra negative, whatever. I don't think this boat's gonna run. Give me that. Are we... That sound, though. Boop, boop. Okay. I just wanted to make sure that there wasn't, like, really anything, like, super important out there. What are you? More health. See any guys? It is just very silly to me, the stuttering issue like that. It's like I said, I've been playing Dragon's Dogma on pretty high settings, all things considered. And I'd heard that there were like a lot of like optimization issues with that game. Like so with people who had like better rigs than I've got were having like problems. Oh. Okay. And I've gone in, I'm at like, you know, high settings. I have it set to high. It's lovely. And I've not had, like, any issues. I have people, like, spawn in right next to me sometimes. Not enemies, but, like, when I'm in town, sometimes people just kind of appear. That's pretty funny. But other than that, no problems. And then this game, which I have on low, struggling real hard. I still like it. I still like this game. Yeah, it's too many vines. Oh god. I got the unknowable horrors. And all the vines. Bro! I can't see. Are you dead? My goodness. Yeah. It's fine. It's still, like, I'm still having fun with it. It is just a little, like... And also, Dragon's Dogma is huge. The maps and the areas that you're in are ginormous, and there's a lot going on. And it's fine. This one's having some trouble, though. It just, it
wedged itself right into the bayou.
Yeah, it does
If I
that.
get the motor started, I could try reversing back into the river.
I don't think that's gonna help, but we can try. Yeah, it's just, it's honestly the most upsetting part is just thinking that, like, my computer is gonna crash or something, or, like, that the game is gonna, you know, shut itself down because it's trying too hard. And, you know, it's alright. Like, the game is fun. It just runs real badly sometimes. And I'm sure that there's, like, some setting in the graphic settings that I could, like, toggle on or off that might make it better. But I have no idea what that would be.
Where are you?
So it just... I don't know, we just gotta cope with it. And that's a bit annoying to me, personally. Let's dink our alcohol. Get some bullets. Yeah, I don't know, that's what I have to say about that. I can deal with it. It's not deal ending for me for this, but it is a little annoying. Considering I feel like that's something that should be, like, addressed before the game comes out. But again, very well could be a me issue. Could probably look it up. Probably will before we start Emily's run. Or, like, Emily's, story. Okay. Motor. Where... Motor. Why is that red? I don't want to jump down there. Why would I want to jump down there? I just got here. Oh, you do want me to go down there, because that's where the engine room is. Okay. Well, if the game could not yell at me about my objectives, that would be nice. Could turn out to, like, old school. Oh, fuck. Ugh! Stop jumping on me! You little bastard! Oh my god! He's got little hands. Got little grippers. Okay, can't do anything with that. Can't do anything with this. Great. I would like some ammo. And a new weapon. New melee weapon. It's not really new. It's one that I've had before, but it is more fresh than my current weapon, which we love. Great. I have a hatchet.
Looks pretty weak. I just need something to break it.
Well, I have a hatchet. Perfect. Before I go down, Carnby, please learn how to use the stairs. I wanna take a peek. That's where we came from. I just want to take a peek over here, see if there's any items. Just a box of hatchets. You'll love to see it. Yeah, it's time to hatch a plan. Ooh, there's a sledgehammer here, though. I want that. They're very slow, but they hit very hard, and I like that. I like that a lot. Okay. Could drop down from the deck in the front, which feels like the obvious place, right? But I want to go down here. And I can get back up. It's covered in blood, Carnby. You need to wash your hands, bud. Disgusting. Okay. Oh boy. Hello? I hear a dude. I think I hear a dude. Got an empty gas can. I'm gonna need that. For that, assumably. Let's turn off the steam so we don't get burned. Disgusting. Fill it up. I got a filled gas can. What's over here? Literally nothing! Ah, I just want items. Please, I've opened up so many containers to receive nothing. I just want something. See fires in our future. I'm sure it's gonna be fine. What's the worst that could happen? There's a lot of noises happening, and it's hard to tell which ones are good and which ones are bad. But hey, we got boat running, so that's cool. Music. We got lumps. We got boat lumps. Fuck off. Oh shit. Okay. I'm going through all my dang bullets on these stupid little lumps. And I don't like that. But I don't really have any other option at the moment. Carnby, you're such a shit shot, guy! Fuck off. Oh my goodness. Do you like that they leave little bloody handprints, though? Like, actually, it's kind of cool. Nope. That one just jumped out of existence! Where does this go? Go away! Oh my god. I think these are the worst enemies so far. Okay, come on. Ugh. Is that not where I started? Whoa! They're like brain dogs, but just not cute. Yeah! Oh my god. I have no ammo. I have like... They're incredibly hard to hit. Come here. He's dead. I've done it. Is that not? There we go. Let me just hit him through the wall. Is he dead? Fucking hell. How do I get in there? Honestly, I would have taken everything being on fire over fighting a horde of these guys. Can I... Is this not how we... Okay, I guess that's not how we control the boat. That's unfortunate. So is it down here? Okay, well this is not where I started out. I do have more pistol ammo now, though. No, fuck off. Are you dead? Okay. I'm just gonna keep shouting that at these guys. Are you dead yet? Well, that's unlocked. Great. What has that done for me? I've got a pallid mask. Is that all I get from down here? I mean, I've replaced some of my ammo. Not nearly enough, though. Fuck off! Genuinely annoyed over these enemies. I hate this. It's been fine up until this bit. These guys are just, like, really annoying. Okay. What do I do? What am I
Jeremy
doing?
was calling out for help, but Combi couldn't figure
Release
out
the
where
steamboat. How? Bro, I made contact with him. Well, that's broken. Where is he going? Yeah, but Carnby, where's the little shell fuck going? I can't hit him if he just keeps sliding everywhere. Okay. Can I start the boat now? I don't like being this salty about things. Okay. No. Do I have to go back to where I was? Because that's not nice. Like, how would I control it from down here? I've turned it on. And no, Carnby. No, Carnby. I turned on boat. Boat is on. Boat has gas. Boat is on. Motor is putting right now. I figured we would go to, like, you know, the front of the boat where the wheel and the controls were. But apparently that's not the case. This is already on. There's nothing else there. That's just where we get gas, and this was just a dead end. Hey, game? Do I have a map? I don't have a map to this place. Release the steamboat from the bayou and return to the river. How? That's locked. There's literally nothing to do down here. How do I turn the boat on? Well, I mean, it's on, but how do I move it? Am I just, like, an idiot? Am I, like, missing something painfully obvious? Because I don't know what's happening. Yeah, like, there's, like, nothing down there for me to interact with. Like, you would think maybe, like, I need to turn some valves or wiggle some levers. More than willing to do any of that, but there were none of the little circles for me to be able to, like, interact with anything. You'd think I could be in here, right? And, like, can't interact with this. This is how you control the what you're doing, right? The speed and stuff. Do I shoot you? No. And I can't interact with that. So that's where I would think. Wait. Huh? Okay, so when they say boat, they meant like a dinghy. They meant not the actual steamboat you're on. Unless... That's all I have to say about that. It's just... The bullets. I need bullets. Because I need bullets. Ugh. Give me these guys. Any time of day. Whoa! Okay, maybe not that close, though. Ouch! Harnby, reload! Okay. Harnby, keep drinking. Now is the time to get drunk. Can I open this? No? Okay. Oh, so the one upstairs is just for show, I see.
Whoa, whoa.
What is this? Okay.
We need to move on. I'll try. Are you ready to tell me what happened in the attic? I'll put a rope around my neck, and then I scrambled all
Sorry,
night
I do
from
like
my-
it when he's a little rolly guy.
Are you under the impression that you died? Yes. No. I was supposed to die.
What does that mean?
Hug him!
That you were supposed to die?
We hug!
I'm the catalyst. I had to die to make the story happen.
Get in there, Carnby.
What are you referring to, Jeremy?
30 years ago, Frederic needed me to die.
You're not making any sense.
Oh, he's got her hat!
Come back. Find your focus.
Hey!
Sorry, that was...
I cheated
That was pretty
everyone.
good.
I didn't play my part.
Hey!
I escaped
Hey!
my doom. My destiny.
Again.
Edward, I don't think they're
find
listening.
your focus.
Hey, I'm right here. What the hell is going on?
Now everything is wrong. Nothing is in
Hey!
place.
I'm right here!
Calm down, Mr. Conby. What do you want?
Were you not talking to Jeremy right now?
I haven't seen Jeremy all day. Are you all right, Detective?
No. Actually, I don't think so. Well, maybe. I'm gonna go look for Jeremy.
Good. Let me know if you find him.
That was Jeremy's self-deceit, a steamboat stuck in the mud? I'm not going to pretend I understand any of that. What a bunch of psychoanalytic nonsense.
Yeah, you tell him. Okay. What do I do now? What do I do now? Sorry, I was so caught up in nothing making sense that I forgot to get rid of my face cam. Yeah, we're out of swamp hell now, so that's great. Honestly, like, I've really liked this game up until that bit, so I'm hoping that that's the only part that's just horrible and that we hate. Let's move on from swamp hell, shall we? But also, what do now? What do we do? Swamp hell was not swell. It was pretty atrocious, actually. Are there things in there that I can have? But it says that there's a thing in there. How broken is my game?
Looks like McCarthy has something hidden inside.
I don't have a screwdriver or a coin or anything. Okay. Wait, there's an empty room. Can I get in there? I thought it was locked. Can I get in there now? I can't get in here now. This was definitely locked before. What do you mean it's your room?
I recognize this view.
Hey, Carnby, you feeling all right, buddy? I know we've been seeing some pretty bad horrors recently.
I know the combination. I carry it with me.
9. That's not a 9. That's 9. No. What do you mean you carry it with you? Is it this? 196? Lasting debt. You found axolotls? Nice. I will probably hop on later. I needed to take a break from Dragon's Dogma, and then I was like, I need to play some Alone in the Dark because I was really liking this game. But then you were playing Minecraft, and I was like, but I want to play Minecraft. Nice to hear that you found axolotls, though. I hope you're doing well, Flowers. Talking is difficult. It is. We love axolotls here. I just need them to hide them in my... It is 196. I was right. Okay. You should come. Can't believe I didn't recognize you. Is any of this real? 196. Otherwise it is the ones that are missing. Actually, it might just be the ones that are missing. So otherwise, why would it tell me that? It wants me to look at a thing. 692. Let's try that. 6, 9, 2. I did it. I have a coin now. Look for the girl.
Detective, I have made many discoveries in my case. The child we want is safe, thanks to good people like me and you. We're so similar, but you don't see all the things I do.
I'm gonna need to get
find
more
your
water.
man, Jeremy, you also need to look for the girl. It has always been that way. The young deliver us all. You should have a look in my room. There's a piece of the puzzle you will need. Take care now. McCoffee.
How do we know McCarthy? Why do we know McCarthy? Carnby, have you been crazy the whole time? If that is the case, I will give this game a pass, only because it's based on an older game, but... Yeah, McCarthy, can you invite us to your room in a less creepy manner? I don't like it here. And I don't like McCarthy, and I don't want to go to his weird-ass room.
Has something hidden.
I say that. I'm here now, and I am stealing from him, but also he was just being a freak about it. Hey, I got the missing picture that I need. Oops, don't need to do that.
Why would McCarthy lock this up? Was he trying to keep Grace from completing the shank? If so, couldn't she have just made another drawing?
I think it was more to keep other people from finding it. Oh hey, everything's wiggled again.
What the hell happened in here?
It's just swamp stuff. Don't worry. Bear. Yeah, Carnby, I'm gonna need you to finish, like, actually swinging. That's our other item. Okay. Poor bear. Oh! It's the horrible scarab bats. Okay, well... Ouch! Let's get that out of here. Let's get him out of here. Fuck. I just had the feeling if I kept trying to attack them, they'd be infinite. And it was just better to get out of there. Okay, hold on. Let me reload my guns real fast. Since we have bullets again. Okay. Hey, Grace. Can I... Oh, God, I can rotate them. Horrible. We want that there? No, that there. This one here. This there? Very bad at remembering the rotate buttons because they're nonsensical. It's Z and X, which just feels wrong. Okay. There we go. Is that right? Did they do it? No. There we go. There we go.
Huh? What?
It's just doing stuff for us. Don't worry about it. That's the hallway, right? Oh, you can tell everything's changing because we've got stuttering again. Not that door. That door.
This looks familiar.
What?
How am I back at the office? Jeremy's never been here.
Give me all of the health items. Writing desk
That's
key.
me, isn't it?
Yeah.
How long had it been since I drowned myself in drink and depression? It had all felt so peaceful, slipping away into oblivion. A welcoming, dark voice wrapped around my mind like a heavy blanket. It turned off suddenly as I woke up from the sound of my office door closing shut. A messenger had left a telegram from Mrs. Saunders. She had a lead on where to find her husband and her kidnapped daughter.
Okay. Telegram from Gabriella Saunders sent December 25th, 1928. My husband has returned to steal one of our most valuable paintings. I'm sure he means to sell it. You hurry, I'm sure you can track him down. Use that key! Newspaper clippings. Crumpled newspaper clipping from December 23rd, 1928. Philanthropist Teddy... blah, blah. Philanthropist Teddy Saunders goes mad, kidnaps child!
Drank so much back then. When was this exactly? What case was I working?
It's a photograph of a man. Find out which case Carnby was working on. Newspaper, telegram, photograph. Check out Thornhill.
I remember this case. Some kid got taken by her father, headed out of state. But he had made a mistake by selling a painting that his wife actually cared about to a collector named Thornhill to fund his venture. That's how I tracked him down. At least I think so.
I like this effect. It's kind of cool. I mean, it's Grace. Grace is the kidnapped child, right? Like, obviously, right? Her last name was Saunders, wasn't it? Where are we going? Item? Look at all those birds. Oh god. I know this is not the way the thread went. I just want to see if there are any...
Can't go that way.
Okay, well... I wanted to see if there were items. Carnby? Listen! What's this?
Thornhill wasn't a bad man, but he had principles keeping him from handing out information about his deals. So he needed some convincing.
Well,
Every case can't be squeaky clean.
But... Anything in the register? Bullets! Shells, nonetheless! Alright. Important statues. We must take in the art. More bullets.
Mr. Saunders had sold a valuable painting to Thornhill, hoping the money would carry him to wherever he was going. The painting, now leaning on an easel in Thornhill's bedroom, had a certain mesmerizing gloom that seemed to call out to me, telling me I was needed for something important. I felt myself falling into the painting, only being brought back by Thornhill, thrusting an address to a Hotel St. George into my hand, and asking me to get the hell out.
Get the hell out of here.
I don't remember this at all, but I can't say it didn't happen.
Well, I was gonna say, fuck off. Ah! Take that. Oh god. It isn't, but the painting looks like The Beacon Light by JMW Turner. I don't know if I've seen that one. Oh god. The stuttering.
I can't go that way.
What do you mean you can't go that way? Well, oh my god, man was not moving. This is, I couldn't move! It's fine. It's a tiny little lighthouse and a big storm at sea. Very dynamic and splashy. Please, sir, you have too many spines. That's what I'm saying. Carnby, like, got stuck on something and wouldn't move no matter what buttons I pressed. And then we got spined. That sucks. Oh god, where are my textures? Well, some of them have shown up. They're still trying to show up. Okay.
Mr. Saunders had sold a valuable painting to Thornhill, hoping the money would
listen,
carry him to
Thornhill
wherever he was going.
really
The
likes
painting,
to
now
clean.
leaning on an easel in Thornhill's bedroom,
So much so that everything
mesmerizing
becomes
gloom that
smooth
seemed
and
to
shiny.
call out to me, telling me I was needed for something important. I felt myself falling into the painting, only being brought back by Thornhill, thrusting an address to a Hotel St. George into my
I am
hand,
ready.
and asking me to get the hell out.
I guess I could.
This at all, but I can't say it didn't happen.
Could get rid of this one and try and sneak my way through. Okay, this already makes this a little nicer. So we appreciate that. Oh my goodness! need to go that way. I know they want me to follow the thread. But there were items over there. There were at least some bullets. I also can't go that way. So we just sneak. We bother no one and we sneak. This is too many guys. Okay. It's gonna take us a million years to get through here, but hey. We're gonna get through here. Probably. Hornby is so slow. Which does make trying to sneak through here absolutely miserable. But you know what? It's fine. We've done it. Probably. Okay. Now they can't get us in here. Unless they're already in here. In which case, fuck. Okay. Where are we going, buddies? Does appear to take me through here, but also what's over here? Is there anything over here? Well, there's this. A candlestick. Great. Aren't we lucky? Hotel St. George. That's where we are headed. Carnby, did you crash your car? This is why we don't drink and drive. Give me those bullets. Bullet. Singular. Yeah.
On my way to the hotel, the Morton gang caught up with me. I owed them money, a lot of it. I can't remember what for, probably some dumb gambling debt growing in size for each payment missed. I punched one of them out, and I sent the others packing. It was a stupid move. They'd be back. In greater numbers.
Oh god. What horrible things are coming my way now? Oh! Those horrible things. Carnby? Great. Shotgun good. We love shotgun. I need to go. Give me machine gun ammo. Don't see me. You wanna go over there? Stay over there for a minute, okay? Thanks. Thanks, buddy. Okay. Okay. We're doing great. Let's just throwables. No, those are shotgun shells, which I would love to have. Wonderful. Alright. Next! What's that? Curious napkin. Let me go refill my water real fast because I am thirsty. So I'm gonna do a quick stretch and maybe grab some cherries. Maybe I'm gonna snack on some cherries and drink some water. Be right back.
Here, let's do it here. Can you still hear me? I feel like it's... looks like it's very loud. Is it perfect? Oh, is it on now? Oh no! I'm so sorry! Oh! Now I've heard there was a secret chord that David played and it pleased the Lord. But you don't really care for music, do ya? It goes like this: the fourth, the fifth, the minor fall and the major lift. The baffled... Oh, this is way too high. The baffled king composing. Hallelujah!
Clearly.
What? How did you miss? Sheva, you fool!
Stairs. Stairs are confusing, okay?
It's true.
Oh.
Godric the Drafted.
Game's a little low. Okay, hold on a second. Oh, no, I'm so sorry!
It's time you set off,
He's
I
fine.
should think,
It's fine.
to Castle Stormvale on the cliff, where grace
Is this better?
will guide you. If you
Look, I know you're a big boy and all, but I think my hammer should stagger you. Personally, I think that it should cause you to think about your life choices for a moment. Car, we're almost there! Baby, you got this? Honey, you can do it. You got it. You can make it happen. Whoa! 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 Not that fast! Before we fully continue through the game. And finish it out. Where did that... There. That's where the Molotov went. I'm just gonna inventory manage while we contemplate. I'm back. I have cherries. I have water. Carnby's trying to remember things from when he was in a drunken stupor. It's gonna be great. Nice! I appreciate the updates, Flowers. Is it delightful and wonderful? I'll need to get more buckets. Also, thank you, Stars. Happy to be back. Hotel bill dated December 21st to 25th, 1928. 12 whole doll hairs for 3 days? My God, I know money is different than it used to be, but can you imagine spending $12 for 3 days at a stay at a hotel?
It was him.
My God.
It was the kidnapper I was hunting. I put on my knuckles and hurried up to his room.
Why did you take your knuckles off?
The name Ted Stryker rings a bell. feels vaguely familiar.
Right? Not even motel price. And this seems like a, well, I was gonna say it seems like a nice place. It does have rats. But, you know, beggars can't be choosers for 12 bucks. Feel like this place smells like mold. So, maybe not that great of a price. Maybe it was nicer when Carnby first came here. Maybe it was less damp with trauma. Definitely mildewy, right? Oh god.
I recognize this room, but I didn't catch up with them here. I must have followed them. But where?
Business card. Okay. I was trying to pick this up. DeWitt Boarding School. Tallahassee, Florida. Okay. Is this... Turn it over. Turn it over. $50 for the Kingsport painting.
That's right.
There we go.
He was running away, ditching his old life and marriage in New Orleans to find something better in Tallahassee. And he took his daughter with him.
Nothing is
against
better
her
in
will.
Tallahassee.
That's why she
It's
hired
Florida.
me, but I stopped him. I caught up with him at the Pearl River Bridge.
I hate to break this to you, buddy. Your life is not going to get better in Florida.
Pearl River. This is where I caught up with them. This is what
Okay.
the Dark Man wanted me to revisit. But I'm still not seeing it. What am I forgetting?
What horrible trauma have you repressed? Did you kill a man? Did you kill a child? I guess that's the better question, huh? I am full of hatchet, in case we were wondering. Alright. I don't know why I got confused under there, but I did. Genuinely had no idea what I was doing. Also, unrelated, completely unrelated to any of this. We will be doing Dragon's Dogma 2, that is, on Tuesday. Probably won't be a terribly long stream, because I have work and therapy, but I'm excited.
I can't believe I didn't recognize you.
I looked a little different back then, I suppose.
Was any of this real?
How do you mean?
This day, just... so much is happening. I can't... I think I've lost my head. Do you need me to apologize? I mean... I am sorry. I don't think I need to begin to explain. You're just a kid, Grace. I'm really sorry. I didn't mean for it to happen.
Lies. More lies.
No, really. I thought I was being a good guy by handing you over to your mother. I didn't know. I couldn't have known that she wouldn't care about you.
I don't know how this works. What is this for?
Some form of admission of guilt. Maybe acceptance. It's what the Dark Man wants.
I guess we just watch my father die again then.
You think he's alive?
I know he is. He's down there, scared that he won't be able to get out. That he will drown with his daughter again.
What are you saying? We gotta save him.
We? Do it yourself. I'm down there with him, remember?
Well, heck.
Can I really save them? This all happened so long ago.
Okay.
I have to find a way to get down there.
But yeah, big day. Big day on Tuesday.
There was a boat at the house where I entered. If I can raise the bridge, I should be able to get to the car.
Well, it's gonna take us too dang long, buddy. Yeah, I don't know. Back to what we were talking about pre-revelation that we got Grace stuck with a bad mom who did not give a shit about her. Mood, girl, join the club. Sorry, bad. I would say joke. It's not a joke. Anyway, I used to not like make a huge deal out of my birthday, and I still like don't really. I do like celebrating with my friends and just doing something nice for myself.
The bridge is operated.
Is a nice thing for birthdays. So
nothing's happening. It's like something's holding it back.
Little stream with game that I bought for myself for birthday. Good time. Oh, what's that? Oh, what's that? Yeah. Stars. Nice day for nice person. I try. But yeah, it's like, I don't know. Gotta do nice things for yourself from time to time. And if that means you're gonna do nice thing for yourself on special occasions like birthdays, well, let's go. Let's do that. What am I doing? What doing? Fight off the grasping vines. Well, I can't. Give me this? I'm full of hatchet, but I cannot use hatchet. Am I just a silly Billy? What am I missing, game? Gonna need you to give me a little bit of an idea. Because I'm not entirely sure of what to do. I am full of hatchet. Okay, that's not doing anything. You would think I would melee it, because there are melee weapons everywhere. However, the melee button is not working. So I am full of hatchet. Listen, there's a man drowning down there. And I am doing nothing to assist. There is nothing I can do to assist. All of my buttons aren't working. Throw him a hatchet. I would love to. I don't know what the throw hatchet button is. And shooting him wasn't doing anything.
Conby had run their car.
Shh, stop. Find a way to fight off the grasping vines to release the bridge. This doesn't tell me that I am full of hatchet. That was 4 minutes ago, so let's reload. Still throwing me off that it's like off by an hour. Okay.
This must be where the bridge is operated.
happening? It's like something's holding it back.
Take these. Okay. We have a hatchet in hand. I can use the attack button now. We can still use the melee button. Game keeps breaking. And I wish it didn't. I wanna like this game. It's making it real difficult though. Okay. Vine's released.
There we go. I should be able to pilot the boat.
Oh god. Let me just get on in here. Alright. Well. No, get off! Get off! Poor Vine. Yeah, these horrible bats. Batstards. Batstards? I see what you did there. Okay. I've got dried cherries and it makes me very happy. Fucking love dried cherries. Oh no, it's these guys. I'm hitting the run button! I gotta go. I gotta go. It's time to go. Carnbeat, you do have to hustle just a little bit more than you're doing. Right? I'm very picky about cherries. I like fresh cherries. And I like dried cherries. And that's about it. I want to make... I just want to start baking again because I desperately miss it. But I would like to make a bundt cake with cherries in it because I think that would be real good. Like put some dried cherries in a bundt cake with like, I don't know, do you think like a lemon glaze would be good on that? I do be loving lemon sweets. I need to get baking supplies again. Like the actual like you know, containers and stuff. Oh, that man is very dead. That sounds so good with the lemon. Okay. That's what I thought, but sometimes I gotta ask others. What do you think about this combination? Also, I didn't make my face disappear for the cutscene again. I can do that now.
My God, Carnby. Are you okay?
Don't leave me alone.
What the hell have you been doing?
What's going on here? Look at this mess!
I'm sorry, Mrs. Thompson.
Don't make me kick you out of this house. Now get out!
Hey, Detective. Mr. Carnby. I'm really worried about you.
I'm okay. I just need to catch my breath for a moment.
This place? There are some very disturbed figures around here. And I don't think it's just the patients. I've been reading some things about how Derceto has a deranging effect on people. I think it might explain... things.
What?
Just take it easy, okay? I'm gonna go find a way into Dr. Gray's apartment. I want to know what he's hiding.
Emily, don't worry. I think I'm close. I'm gonna set everything right.
Just be careful.
She really do be thinking we're losing our minds.
Conby had run their car.
So that's cool. Yeah. I need to get, like, baking pans and stuff like that again. Because I no longer have those sorts of things, which is tragic, really. Said that there was something in here.
Not going in there. She's clearly had enough of me.
Well, I didn't want to go in there. But it says that there's something here in the sitting room. Viva la baking revolution. Honestly, though, when I was living with other people, they had like, literally anything and everything you could need when it comes to baking. Like, we had baking pans, we had trays, we had tins, we had, molds and stuff. It was delightful just having all that at my disposal, and now that I just don't have, like, any of that, I have baking sheets, and I have a cake tin. And that's it. That's all I've got. I need to get stuff. Like, even just, like, a muffin tin would be lovely. Because I want to make, like, carrot and zucchini muffins again. It is true. Goodwill can be good for that. I just haven't, like, had a chance to, like, go. Because none money. What money I have had, I have put towards new video games. Priorities, of course. But up until, like, the last, like, few months, like, I haven't had, like, a consistent ride to be able to go anywhere. And, our bus system, which is, like, the only form of public transit we have here, is expensive. And Ubers suck as a whole, so... But I do have someone that can drive me now. I have access to a car when I need it.
I got a job to do.
Yeah, I know we can't leave. I'm trying to figure out where to go, Carnby. Yeah, getting around is hard. Honestly, though. But it is... I do have, like, reliable transport now. It's just been a matter of, like, trying to address everything else that's, like, ultra important. Not that not having, like, cooking supplies isn't important, but, you know, gotta address all the other things first. I've more or less done that now. I do think I put some like baking stuff on my throne, though. I'll need to triple check that. Okay, door, just open up for me, why don't you? But yeah, I do need to, like, you get some, like, really fun stuff at Goodwill. As far as, like, baking supplies are concerned.
I'm glad to see you. Lock the door, will you? I don't think Dr. Gray would appreciate us snooping around.
What's going on here? This feels so strange.
Oh. Oh. False book. Open. Oh, never mind. It's hollow. And that's all he wants to say about it.
There's a book missing.
What did
Hey! I put a book away.
Rearranging the books.
I cleaned up. Also, what's that thing on the floor? Hold on. Emily, wait. Before we go in there. There's a thing on the floor, Emily. What's this? What's a toy talisman?
Okay.
Is there anything else that I can steal? No. Okay. Alright.
I think I'm beginning to understand.
The fixed perspective is throwing me, but I kind of love it. First meeting
Good
transcript.
to finally meet you, Mr. Hartwood. I'm here on the behalf of your brother Philip. You were expecting me, weren't you?
Yes. You're from Derceto, no?
That's right. I just wanted to ask you a few questions to see if there is anything I can do to help you and your family.
Okay.
I understand you're full of imagination. You make up a lot of things.
I suppose.
And you obsess over them, blurring reality and fiction.
Who doesn't?
Sometimes.
Do you want to tell me about the Dark Man?
No. No, I don't.
That's all right. Perhaps there is something else you can tell me. Something you know to be made up, but you hold dear.
Juan?
John? Who's John?
No. Juan Luis
Juan.
Jorge. Oh, wait there a moment.
You uncultured swine.
Here, take a look.
Is he... Oh, he is the author.
Okay, next page.
It's a magnificent book. Life-changing even. The real Juan is long dead, but I like to think of him as my friend. My most beloved friend.
I see. Do you often do this? Fantasize about people you read about?
No. No. Well, there is Jacob.
Who is Jacob?
Turn to the last page.
Oh, it's a newspaper article. The Prisoner of Ice, Jacob van Ostad. Is he also your beloved friend?
Oh, no, Doctor. Not at all. He is the fire that fights fire.
Yes, I think it's clear your overstimulated imagination, this mania, needs to be tempered for you to live a normal life. I know your family calls it the Heartwood Curse, but I want you to know that there is nothing supernatural about your condition. It's all inside your head. And with that, I'm very qualified to deal with. In time,
I don't trust him.
Be cured.
In time.
Yes, in time we will exorcise all your demons.
In time.
All the dark men.
Yeah!
Please, Mr.
My God.
Hotwood, calm yourself.
What happened?
Oh, don't you worry your little head about it, Miss Hotwood. Your uncle and I just had our first breakthrough.
I don't like or trust Dr. Gray, and I've said it before and I'll say it again.
What were you saying about mass delusion?
Dorsetto seems to have a deranging effect on people living close by. It has a history of creating cults devoted to some nature goddess. Even the name Dorsetto refers to the cult existing here before the Civil War. Dorsetto was the name of an ancient fertility goddess worshipped in Syria. Dr. Gray and his friends, however, seem to prefer the black goat of the woods with 1,000 young, or Shub-Nigroth. And that name can only have come from my uncle's twisted mind.
Okay. Kept trying to move and he wouldn't
mark
move.
On the floor looks like talisman positions, but from which direction should I look at it?
Okay. I can't interact with that just yet. No. Snake dagger.
A monograph by Yael Klein. In Ludwig Prin's book on pagan rituals called The Mystery of the Grave, as translated by Nicholas Vachy, there are several references to a sacrificial dagger called the snake dagger.
I have that.
It has long been thought of as a
right in my pocket
translation of the original text. That it would be more appropriate with worm dagger from the Latin vermis cultrum. This seems natural following the recent consensus that the original title of Prin's book, De Vermis Mysteris, should literally translate to the mystery of the worm.
Worm
However,
mystery.
This will take away from Vachy's great effort at translating the underlying meaning of the words and revealing several cultural beliefs. While Prin certainly was using the term worm as a symbol or synecdoche for death and the dead, which is
Wormstery! Exactly!
In the case of the dagger, we shouldn't be too hasty
Or
to dismiss
mystery.
his translation. Reading through Vachy's correspondence with his patron, it appears that he had more than just the Latin text at his disposal. Vachy had dug up Prin's living relatives and uncovered several cross-referenced historical texts and an actual snake dagger. The dagger was dated to the early Middle Kingdom of Egypt, and had such a clear shape of a wave that Vahi considered calling it the sinusoidal blade. Knowing the full story, it seems prudent that he chose to translate it as snake and not worm. There are several reasons why this choice of word helps us understand the pagans that Prin's book attempts to describe. The symbolic value of the shape becomes more apparent when reading about the use for the dagger. In the passage of possession and exorcism, we find the snake dagger poisons the poisoner within the victim and is therefore pacified. Where the literal text would tell us that the worm dagger trumps the demon possessing the victim, it tells us nothing of their reasoning, only that somehow this dagger wins against the demon, like it had the better hand in poker. Vahi's translation allows us to follow the underlying logic to the ritual magic that is being performed. Poison the poisoner sounds like fighting fire with fire. That to hurt the demon possessing its victim, the priests would have to fight back with a power that is known to the evil they are fighting. The snake dagger is therefore not only a good way to describe its form, but it also helps us understand how it could be thought of as a useful tool for exorcism. Finally, it also helps us understand their relationship to lunacy, that it was thought of as something poisoning the mind rather than controlling it. What is also interesting to note is that the possessed are always considered poisoned in their head and not their heart. The snake dagger always went to the eye of the possessed, leaving them partially blind, if they had the good luck to survive.
Wild. Okay, Can I not interact with that? I don't have what I need to do. Can I go over here? No, we're just rubbing ourselves up against the wall. Emily, do you have anything else to say?
You think all of them are in this cult business? Even Jeremy?
I'm not sure any of them have a choice at this point. We just need to find a way to stop all of this.
Okay. Wait, there's a room there. Ah! We're... Okay, it's fine. Furniture key!
Huh. Has that been there this whole time?
Yes! When you go into a new room, all of the directions change due to the fixed camera angle. I have to let go of the keyboard. Can I hide in there? I'm going and answering the phone. He's doing this himself.
Hello?
Detective Conby?
Who is this? Jeremy?
Jeremy is with the Dark Man. You can't save him.
Well, I've done everything he wanted so far, and there's just one more thing on the list. I expect him to keep his promise and return Jeremy unharmed.
Get out, Detective. While you still can.
Ooh. Okay, I'll go investigate the broken clock. What symbols are on the floor? Oh my god. Please. I'm gonna take a picture of that so I can stare at it a bit and actually remember what it is. There we go. I mean, it all looks to be... They all look to be on the same number. No. Okay. It's not really... anything that is helpful here. You have any numbers in what he was saying? Not from what I can see. And there weren't numbers here either. It just talked about a worm is a snake, is a worm, is a snake. But either of each other. It's all different, actually. That made sense in my head. Oh, wait, that's got the same symbols, doesn't it? Kind of. No. I mean, we solved this one. We did this one. Is it all zeros? It is. Cool. Just get rid of that. Alright, let's go look at that trunk.
You okay? You look a little frazzled.
Just stupid telephone.
I know. I tried calling the police earlier. The telephone is completely dead.
It's not... Yeah, no, the telephone isn't working.
I see that closet. Let's go. Oh.
Miss Hartwood, I think you're gonna want to see this.
Is there something in the closet?
Yeah, there is. You don't see the very obvious gate leading to whatever Jeremy's madness is serving up next?
I don't understand. Are you making some kind of fashion metaphor? I'm sorry, I don't have time for this. Can you just tell me what you're doing?
You don't see this. It's fine. It's fine. Catch you later.
Are you going inside the closet?
Yeah. You got a problem with that?
No. Do what you think is right, detective.
Sorry, I didn't mean to. Goodbye, Miss Hartwood.
Jeez. Oh, it's cold here. I don't like it when they fight. Just let Carnby do Carnby things. Like being a little bit of a madman. I just got the achievement Frenzy. Enter Hell. So that's cool. New gun? New gun. Ooh, hold one. Okay. I am full of flares. I got a sallow offering. Greenland expedition.
We found the ancient stellarium perched on a cliff facing the Arctic Ocean after a day of sailing due north of the Eskimo encampment. Jacob van Oostad was our most keen member of the expedition. He had been chasing down the source of a peculiar type of crystallized metal present in several sacred items among the natives on the northeast coast of Greenland. The site was a remarkable find for any explorer, and we were all enraptured in our search for enlightenment and meaning. The surviving architecture seemed almost unearthly in origin and astonishingly sophisticated.
That's
The
just because
metal
you're being a
Jacob was
racist piece of
searching
shit.
for was abundant, almost ubiquitous. We were so taken by our find that we were surprised by the sun falling below the horizon. As we quickly picked up our gear, ready to head back to our camp, Jacob von Ostadt declared that he wanted to stay. He was adamant. We begged him to reconsider. The night would be getting colder by the hour, and we feared for all our safety. Jacob refused, threatening us with violence if we wouldn't leave him alone. As the snowfall turned heavier, we left him there on his own. The next day, the weather became worse, and we had to spend hours enforcing our shelter as our tents became increasingly useless. The group had written off Jacob, thinking he must be dead. I had an urge to make one final attempt to save him, so I headed out.
Yo,
as
those
darkness
people have
fell
metal. It's
with a handful of
suspicious.
flares.
Right?
Headed toward the coast and up the climb, towards the Stellarium. That's when I saw him, transfixed by a burning sky, that celestial lantern. Jacob keeled over and let out a painful shriek that struck me with such fear and pity. He was crying in agony, for the cold weather had ravaged his flesh. I called out to him, and he turned to face me. His vacant stare held me in place like a needle through a butterfly, and he said, "You must leave now, Heshtan. Go, and never come back." And so I left.
Jeez. It just... It's not a little thing. I'm not gonna say it's a little thing, but it is a peeve of mine. Particularly when white European folks or people of white European descent look at native cultures, or people that are not white Europeans / of white European descent and go, wow, these people have such sophisticated and advanced technology, and it's like, you're just mad because y'all didn't have indoor plumbing until, like, the 1800s, alright? Like, whose fault is that? Right? And they're like, wow, how could they have technology? Because humans make stuff, right? Like, consider. We have a need, and when humans have a need, we tend to try and problem solve that, generally. Typically. I don't need flares. Okay. Yeah. So yeah, it's a little thing that irks me, and it's not anything that the game has done. It is just a fact of everything. It's just historically how it has been, and it's incredibly silly. Very on brand for explorers. Yeah, exactly. It's so hey, they got that right. What is that? What's this big spinny thing over there? It's like the whole, like, I think it was Allie who told me about it, but like or like enlightened me on this point, but like the whole concept of like, oh, you know, like the ancient Egyptians couldn't have possibly made the pyramids without alien technology, and it's like, I mean, they had slave labor, which isn't great, but like, I don't think it was aliens. You're just mad that they did stuff that you didn't. But also, slave labor. It's not great. Yeah. Hey, who's that? Hey, who's that? Hey, yo, who's that? go, boy. What are you doing? Is it Jacob? Hey, Jacob!
What are you doing here? What is this place?
Turn back, detective. You're not wanted here.
Whoa, take it easy.
He's got tentacles. He's also not rendered in very well, but I have to kill Jacob. Where did he go? It's very like The Thing is what this is reminding me of. I mean, he's not quite that level of fucked up looking, but where is he? Oh, he is directly behind me, huh? Is this doing anything to him? Aside from, like, setting him on fire temporarily? Well, he's making noises like it's hurting him. Well, there we go! I killed an enemy with fire! So the achievement I just got told me. He was transfixed by the celestial lantern. You right, you right. I shouldn't have interrupted him. He seemed like he was having a nice time, and he did say that, like, we weren't invited. And I should have respected that, really. Am I doing this right? Switch disc. There we go. Just one more. There we go. Whoa! Game? Okay. It is now like the thing! It is now like the thing! Okay, okay, okay. This is fine. Stab him! Stab the boy! His arms are so wiggly and I hate it! It's real good! Thing of nightmares. Oh god. My ass. Okay, that was my ankle, and I think that should be illegal. Stop hurting my ankles! I stab! This is cool. The fight itself a little repetitive, but I do like how he looks. Oh! Hornby! Sir. Ah! I do appreciate that there is just like infinite ammo around here. With that in mind. Right in the eye hole.
Jeremy?
I did everything! Aren't you happy? Stupid charlatan! What more do you want from me? You want me to lose my mind?
Oh, my lord! Doctor! Baptiste! Quick!
Jesus. What were you thinking, compadre?
What the fuck? What the fuck?
Fruity Spruce is raiding with a party of 4.
Hi,
Kayshurrr
Fruity.
gang welcome
Hi,
you.
friends. Well, that happened. Hold on. Let me get a shout out going for you. How are you doing? How was stream? It was XCOM, right? Yeah. I wasn't sure if you changed or not. Hello, welcome in. Let me get through this cutscene and then I'll say hello to everybody officially, properly.
Awake? You are awake. Mr. Conby's up.
Hey, buddy. I thought you'd be knocked out for the rest of the night. Come on out and join us, will you? I'll save you some gumbo.
Good to have you back. You gave us all a good scare.
What happened?
You had a psychological breakdown. Sorry for manhandling you, but you were being violent, you see.
You stabbed Jeremy and then punched Dr. Gray.
Are they okay?
Jeremy's a little strange, but everything's back to normal.
Really?
All thanks to you, combat. You want to try standing up?
Well, if it isn't the hero of the day. How are you feeling, Detective?
Never better. How about you two? Hey, Jeremy, I didn't do too much damage, did I?
Things are fine. Very quiet.
What's up with him? Painkillers?
No. You see, despite you having the finesse of a one-eyed butcher, you managed to lobotomize dear Jeremy.
I did what?
It's actually quite impressive. It's not like I hadn't considered it myself. I just wish Jeremy could have been helped without reducing his personality to that of an oyster.
But he's gonna live.
Of course. As long as someone keeps feeding him, he'll outlive the best of us.
Okay. There's a lot to unpack there. Let me say hello to the raiders. Hi, friends. How are you doing? How was it going? How was the rest of your stream, Fruity? I was there for a little bit earlier. And I had some things to take care of, and then I started streaming. But welcome in. Y'all know me. Tom knows me. Whiskey, you've seen me a handful of times, probably. If not here, in other chats. Flowers, you're the best. Listen. There were a couple of missions with more than 2 enemies in them. Can you imagine? But welcome in, pals. We are playing Alone in the Dark here. It sure is happening. A lot just occurred. We fought a noodable boy. I stabbed him in the noodles as Stars requested. It turned out it was Jeremy, whom I stabbed in the eye and accidentally gave a lobotomy to. The Dark Man was actually Lottie, it looked like? And I pistol whipped her. Oops! And everything is weird and wiggly. And it's... yeah. Still not sure how his noodles became an arm. Well, at the end, we did stab him in the eye. We did stab Noodable Boy in the eye. So it's not like we stabbed him in the noodle, and then noodle became eye. I mean, he had noodles coming out of his mouth, which was below his eyes. But we definitely stabbed him in the eye. Yeah, we had to stab him right in the noodles because demons. Just like Star said. I don't understand what's confusing about that. Who goes for the noodles? We do. We go for the noodles. Because it's their weak point. But yeah, welcome in everyone. Fruity, you've probably been streaming for a bit. If you need to take a break, feel free to do so. We'll be here for a bit longer, probably. I think there are only like 5 or 6 chapters in this game, so we're like nearing the end. In case anybody wants to play this themselves and well, I guess, I mean, that's a little late for that. I did kind of give some spoilers. Oops. But if you want to avoid seeing the full end, now would be a good time to step away. I totally understand. Otherwise, if y'all need to take a break, feel free to do so. It's important to rest your eyes and eat food and do all that good stuff. But yeah, as always, I do have content warnings for the video game. It is incomplete because the game is new enough that no one had filled that out, but that is there. Yeah, there's a lot happening, but it's great and fine and fun. I'm glad nobody's mad at me for having stabbed Jeremy in the eye hole. Hey, ma'am, how are you doing?
Hey, Ruth. Glad to see you made it back to Derceto.
You too, Detective. Make sure to stay for the festivities. It's no Mardi Gras, but it ain't bad.
Okay, well, I would like to avoid Mardi Gras as well. Yeah, sometimes you gotta stab a Jeremy. It's just how it be. Especially if he's being a weird noodable boy. You gotta stab him.
What are you looking for?
Just keeping an eye out for the storm. Radio says it could be a wild one.
I'm convinced that this whole Darkman thing is a ruse. And that we're still gonna have to fight this horrible fertility goddess.
Good to see you back on your feet, Detective. Have some gumbo.
Thanks. It was either... maybe it was her. Oh, she's mad. Oh, she's mad about me not wanting the gumbo. Ma'am, if it were me, I would eat your gumbo. I don't know why. I don't know why we're being weird about it. Right? Listen. Or even just some, like... wait, escape. I don't want to wait for Emily just yet. Or just some jambalaya, too? I just want... give me just some good... Southern, like, Creole cooking, please. Thank you.
More impressive than you could ever imagine.
Gumbo does sound real fucking good right now, though. Please, and thank you.
Tell me, what the hell's about to happen here?
Every year we have a little turn the page ceremony by the tree. It's symbolic. Symbol. It's like life has
Symbolic?
its cycles of grief and happiness.
Is that what you're trying to say?
You know, just like a tree facing the seasons. Things change, but remain the same.
Sorry, I am busy thinking about Gumbo now. What's this?
Hey, kid. What are you up to?
Preparing for the ceremony. I don't want to disappoint Mother.
Not your mother, right? You mean the fertility goddess mother, right? Because you're the Grace is the goat? Parentheticals without horns? I think that's everyone. Or more that y'all say?
Does Emily know about Jeremy's condition?
Yes. She seems to be handling it quite well under the circumstances.
Well, I'm glad she's not mad that I stabbed her uncle. Okay. I guess we'll, hold on. Before I do that, I can't go anywhere, can I? Okay. Yeah, I can't. So we wait. We wait for Emily.
Everyone knows what to do? Y'all know the new words.
Mrs. Thompson, we talked about this. I'm not sure everyone is comfortable.
Doctor, I insist. This is important. We've waited for so long, Doctor.
Let's just go with the old song. Not every change is an improvement.
Boss, good or bad, we need to move forward.
All in, Doc. Let's bet it all.
But we don't know what we're dealing with.
It'll be okay, Doctor. Better even.
There are praises and abundance to the black goat of the woods. Hear us, mother. Take pity on us. Take pity on us.
Ever
Hear
there
us,
praises
mother,
and
praises
abundance
and
to the
abundance,
black
black
goat
goat
of the
pity
woods.
on us.
Hear us, mother,
and take pity on us. Take pity on us.
And take pity.
Ever there's praises and abundance to the black goat of the woods. Hear us, mother, and take pity on us.
Stop! Are you crazy? He's the happy coffin. Grace, stop! No!
Detective, get my uncle out of here.
Jeremy, come with me. Get over here. Jeremy, come with me. Jeremy, come here.
No! There has to be a sacrifice!
LOL! Man got yeeted! Oh, hold on.
Jeremy! Come on.
Oh, fuck! Holy shit! Oh my god!
I can't let that monster leave Derceto. I have to stop it.
Well, that fucking escalated. How do I get out of here? All right, well, party. I'm stuck on a corpse. I'm stuck on a corpse. I can't get out. Nope, that's not how I get out. Is this how we get out? Game? There. This is how I get out. Okay. Well that happened. I wish I had more that I could say other than, yup, that occurred. But, yup, that occurred. My God. Okay, can you go down? Go down! Okay, nope. Reload. Reload. Okay, and we are full on ammo. Oh God. It has too many mouths. Why is it silent? Oh, jeez. Where are its bubbles? Oh, he wiggles so much. I can, and I have. I'm sorry. I just need to know where his bubbles are. Whoa! Oh, he's got little hooves! Oh, God. Here I was being like, oh, he's so cute! Is that doing anything? Yeah, stabbing the noodles, shooting the bubbles. Duh! Oh, that's where he's birthing. Okay. Ouch. Not those guys. Ouch. Ouch. Okay, I was in the middle of healing. I need to take care of the ads much more faster than I am. It's a lot of guys that he's throwing at me, and I think that's kind of rude. Is what I have to say about that. We'll start with the pistol for the first phase, since I don't have to deal with dudes. Maybe the machine gun would be really good for the second bit. He is pooping too many guys. Actually, TBH? Think monster? If it has a gender. Maybe a she, because it's a fertility goddess, is what they were saying. Lumpus is lady? Whatever it is, it sure is lumpy. Lady Lumpus. Many much Lumpus. Lady Lumps. She got those lady lumps. am. Woo. Cool. Get up. And now we swap to this. Actually, let's swap to this. Oh god. Fuck off! Ugh. No. Oh god. No, I need you to turn just a little bit, buddy. There is something spinning over there. What is that? It's just a limb. Let's go. Fuck. Reload! Yeah, I know you are, bud. Fuck off! Oh my god. This is too many dudes. Get off the corners! Oh boy, no, wrong button. Reload, reload. Did we do it? It do be that way sometimes, Tom.
Detective,
Oh, what the hell was that?
I tried to tell you. There was so much evidence. Their devotion to the black goat was like nothing I've ever seen before. I felt so dumb believing any of it, but I'm glad I did.
Are you okay?
Everything is out of order. This isn't the way the story goes. I shouldn't be alive.
Yeah. Well, you're welcome, buddy.
How are you doing, sweetie?
I kinda like it. You ruined everything, but I'm not mad.
Alright, you ready to head back to New Orleans?
Come on, Jeremy. We're leaving.
Can I come?
I thought you said you didn't need saving.
Don't leave her. She's important.
Of course we're taking her with us.
Well, we did it. We beat Alone in the Dark. I liked it overall. Honestly, my biggest complaint at this point is just the fact that like it is optimized for shit. Even with playing on I beat Lady Olympus, it's true. Also I am not sure if this is copyright or not, so we'll just turn that down quite a bit. Yeah, shot in the bubbles. We're blowing more bubbles to replace the bubbles. Yeah, no, like I said, my biggest complaint is just the fact that, like, the optimization for this game is trash. Just the fact that, like, anytime anything, like, any of the areas were changing, like, it wasn't even, I can't even just say it was like, oh, we're dropping frames. Everything would lock up. The frames would drop, responsiveness to controls would just stop being existent. And it just wasn't, I don't know, it wasn't great at points like that. I really liked this, though, as, like, silly and, I don't want to say it was tongue-in-cheek, because I don't think it was, but it feels very, like, earnest in wanting to, like, reimagine Alone in the Dark, and I appreciate it for that. Yeah, it was I had fun with it. And we will play again. Just so we can do Emily's route and see if like there's anything different. I don't know if it's that like anything is different or if they just put Emily in place of Carnby. I imagine some of it would be different, right? Cuz like she seems to have her own thing happening while Carnby's off traveling between dimensions, but it also wouldn't be like too. The only thing that like really would I feel like would change if they did like do the exact same route would be like the bit of like what was Carnby doing way back when with Grace originally, because she wasn't involved in that. Why would she know any of that? I don't know. We'll see what is different when it comes to playing as Emily, and I'm excited about that. If it ends up being more or less the same, we'll see if we'll stick with it, but yeah, I don't know. I like this. It was neat. I just think they're neat. For now though. Yeah, I think that's gonna be it for today, which is, you know, that's pretty alright. We did a 3-hour stream. Oh boy. Sometimes you just have to stream forever. Let's see, who is online? I'm pretty sure Flowers is still streaming. Flowers is still streaming. I know that we keep rating Flowers, but Flowers tends to be like the only person on the weekends when we're doing our thing. It's more Minecraft, so it's a nice way to be chill after some not chill nonsense. Is what I'm trying to say. If you're gonna raid with us, there are raid messages. First one is for everyone. It's got global emotes. Second one has channel specific emotes. Yeah, we'll tentatively plan to do more Alone in the Dark tomorrow. But we'll see how that goes. I've got Horror Fest movie planned for tomorrow. I don't know what movie though. If certain people are available, we'll be doing Deadstream because I fucking love that movie. Otherwise, we'll do something else. But yeah, I also might just be way too deep in with Dragon's Dogma to stream. We'll see. For now though, thank you all for being here. I appreciate y'all. Take care of your dang selves. And we'll see y'all next time. Bye friends.